You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast for our IPL team preview of the Delhi Capitals. Before we get going, once more, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/the Cricket Pod, to support the show directly from just £4 a month. I think is that 40 rupees or 400 rupees? It's about $5, 7 Aussie dollars, something like that. You know, they're the main markets. Sorted. Ross, Delhi Capitals. Do you love Delhi? Do you love the Capitals or do you hate them?
They are serial underachievers, I think it's probably fair to say. And they had an abysmal year last year. But Rishabh Pant is back and he's leading the boys in blue with Ricky Ponting with his kind of sage advice guiding the team. Max, they've got some interesting strengths, I think. Kuldeep Yadav has had a full narrative arc, redemption, right? Full redemption arc has been completed. And the left armour is certainly talented. And with Akshar Patel, they've got 8 solid overs, I think they're of wicket-taking prowess. If they don't waste those overs. Last year, I think they had a bit of a penchant for wasting Akshar's overs in the power play, which just wasn't very effective at all. They have a decent top order, I think. If you're thinking David Warner, Prithvi Shaw, Mitch Marsh, Rishabh Pant and Harry Brook kind of coming into that lineup and kind of the 5 or 6, which I think is encouraging. But last year, has it fully addressed kind of the intent option? Intent problems, I don't know. And the nice thing about Delhi is that they are fiercely, they're Delhiites, aren't they? They absolutely love local talent. They love Indian talent. And Delhi have made a pretty good habit of picking up some good domestic players. So I think if you like seeing new blood, I think Delhi is one of those areas which you could see some new faces in the starting 11 this year. And on their day, looking at this team, they can beat pretty much anyone. Anrik Nortje, he's back in the fold after what feels like he's been out forever. It kind of feels like. It doesn't feel like he's played a lot of cricket, and it might be a worry, but it also might be exciting. I don't know. And then when it comes to the weaknesses, I'm really, if they play better cricket, last year watching Delhi was awful. They didn't really know what they were doing. David Warner was pretty much kind of doing the old KL legend. He was kind of like, I'm going to bat for as long as I possibly can do, and he kind of hit like 500 odd runs for them, but it was slow and it was painful, and nobody else really contributed that much to them. If Pant can't keep, I think it poses quite a tricky question on balance, because I'm not sure playing the overseas options in Tristan Stubbs, Lord knows why they picked up Shai Hope, is probably the right thing in terms of the balance of the unit, because they'd have to drop Warner or Marsh or Brook. And I think in that space, if they're kind of solving one problem, but making a couple more for them. So in terms of domestic talent, Max, in the WhatsApp group earlier, we were seeing who could be there. I think they're going to go with 19-year-old Kumar Kushagra, who they picked up for 7.2 crore in this auction. So he can't be any worse than KS Bharat, let's be fair. So overall, he's probably going to be an upgrade, and he could well be an impact sub kind of keeper scenario in this if Rishabh Pant is not going to be able to do it. Guys, what do you like about this Delhi team?
I like some of the individuals. Kuldeep Yadav, Anrik Nortje, Rishabh Pant, all very much dependent on how fit he is and what he's able to do. But if he's anything close to what he can be, he's absolute class. They have players in there who are really, really good and can win games on their own, but I can't see how it fits together as a team where that level is sustained enough for them to be successful. Shall I
give you my 11? I'll give you my 11. I will just switch up the car thing just to kind of keep with this kind of segment here. So Warner opening up with Prithvi Shaw, Mitch Marsh at 3, I think. Rishabh Pant at 4, and they've said Harry Brook's going to bat at 6, haven't they? So they're going to have to slot somebody in at 5. So does that mean Akshar Patel bats at 5? Or does the Kumar Kushagra bat at 5 and then Akshar bats at 7? It's not super explosive for a 7 if they got Akshar there. Kuldeep Yadav, who has demonstrated in the test against England how good he is with the bat, he's going to be at 8. And then they've got Mukesh Kumar, Khalil Ahmed and Anrik Nortje kind of 9, 10 and 11. It's not the most awful 11, But as Delhi fans of yesteryear used to have Shikhar Dhawan, Shreyas Iyer, etc., like there's not a lot to be too excited about if they play the same way as they did last year. And there was a lot of caveats for last year, right? Rishabh Pant was out. There was people who were completely out of form, like Prithvi Shaw. He was like doing weird things, I don't know, outside of cricket that was pissing off Ricky Ponting. So, Jack, I think there is a way back for this team. They surely can't be as bad as they were last season.
I think they could be. They're not very good. They were heroically crap last year.
It was so bad.
To be fair,
bad.
They were really bad, and you'd think that Rishabh Pant coming back, even if he plays at sort of 80% of his capacity, that by itself will mean that they can't possibly be worse than last year. And if you get Norkia in as well, then like you definitely can't be worse than last year. But there's a lot to sort of not really like about this team. I think I'm not really sure how they've done it, because it kind of makes sense on paper how this team is going to work. Like you can see, that player does that thing, and that player does that thing. But the problem is that all of those players are like below average versions of what other teams have. Like Dave Warner. Like, is there anybody who still thinks that we're likely to see peak Dave Warner at this IPL? Surely not. Surely at this point in time, everybody is pretty much resigned to the fact that we're seeing like an aging ex-dominant force who's still got it a little bit and will still knock it around and probably still score cumulatively wise a decent number of runs, but he'll do it at a strike rate that would have been suited to the T20 blast circa 2008. Prithvi Shaw, like the explosive opening batter, like again, actually a similar trajectory to David Warner, except it's happened a decade and a half earlier in his career than it probably should have done. There are better explosive openers than Prithvi Shaw out there. There are guys that aren't going to turn up with 7 buckets of KFC to get on the team bus for away days.
And he kept wicket, and now he's playing KKR.
So you've got. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Mitch Marsh, lovely guy. Everybody loves Mitch Marsh. Everybody loves Mitch Marsh. Look around the league at the number 3s. You can't be telling me that Mitch Marsh is in the top half of the number 3s in the IPL. That's a lie. You're lying to me. Rishabh Pant, we've got no idea which direction that's going to go in. Harry Brook is a speculative punt, isn't he? I'm not going to do this the whole way down the order. You get the point. Like I'll put one other guy I'll point out. Akshar Patel, really good player. He can bat, he can bowl. He's a good all-round package. But they're using him in the same role that KKR are using Andre Russell and Rinku Singh. Like it's not fair on the guy to be like compared to them. Like that's what I mean. It's just there's just this gulf. It's like I can see why you think Akshar Patel would be able to do that, and to some extent he can. But there are just better versions of all of these guys on other teams, and they're like the reverse CSK, whereas everyone in CSK can slightly outdo their performance. Like everyone for Delhi, it's going to be slightly worse than they should be for that role.
Well, you say that they're kind of a slightly worse version than the average, and that's why I think they're the Tatar punch when it comes to a car. I generally think there's a lot. They're almost like an economy version, a budget version of it. They're like the I don't know what's a budget supermarket. They're like an Aldi compared to a Waitrose kind of thing. And there's a little bit here leaves a lot to be desired, but they might get somewhere. They're not going to get there particularly fast. I don't think there's a real lack of kind of a plan, I think, around some of this stuff. But if everything goes right for them, like with most of the other teams, like they could do something on the day. I don't think across kind of 14 games in the competition, they're going to be able to keep it together in the way in which they probably need to do it. And I've got major questions over Anrik Norkia's fitness. Like the guy's not really played that much cricket over the last kind of 3 years, and him coming into it, it's a big question mark and a big ask to put on those shoulders. And then in terms of kind of some of the others like Khalil Ahmed and Mukesh Kumar, like they're not superstars. They're okay domestic bowlers, but they're not fantastic. And then the backup to Anrik Norkia is Lungan Ngidi, who's decent. and injured Jai Richardson. So it's a bit of a worry for me. I don't see them, Max, making the playoffs this time round. I think it's going to be a tough season for Delhi fans.
Oh, that's a bold claim.
No, I'm not. I reckon they're going to get relegated with a record low points tally.
I think the IPL's got an unparalleled capacity to surprise, and so I'm sure Delhi will win some games and stun us a few times. Let's say 8 games is really the minimum you need to win. Eight games and a good net run rate to qualify. Can we see Delhi doing that? No, it's a no from me.
So.
That's quite a lot of games to win.
Yeah,
that's quite a lot of kind of freak shit that has to go down.
And they've literally got Rishabh Pant should be dead. Like that's the crux of it. He's coming back and playing a year after his crash. There's a major question mark there.
And I mean, incredible that he's back though.
I'm so happy. He's one of my favourite cricketers, I think. But Jesus, there's a long way back here. So yeah, I'm not betting on Delhi this year. They're going to fail and flop. Who have we got left to do?
We've got one more team, the Punjab Kings. Should we take a break and we'll come back and do them?